Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on Azure Cognitive Search. We're glad to have you all here today. I'm Roshan, your host for today's webinar. On behalf of Kalpita Technologies, I extend a warm welcome to each one of you. Before we begin our webinar, I'd like to give you a quick introduction about Kalpita Technologies and Jahnavi, our speaker for today's webinar. Kalpita Technologies is an enterprise software development company with 6+ years of excellence. We are headquartered in Bangalore, India, and we also have our physical location at Austin, Texas, US. We are a Microsoft Gold partner and SOC 2 certified and recognized as a great place to work since 2021. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Jahnavi, a .NET architect with 14 years of experience in enterprise-level app development and .NET technologies. She excels in delivering scalable solutions and has 6 years of Azure expertise, leading cloud transformation projects to enhance speed and scalability. She stays current with her latest technologies and incorporates cloud native techniques into her work. Without further ado, I hand over the session to Jahnavi. Jahnavi, the
Thank-
floor is yours.
Thanks, Roshan. Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So, the topic for today's webinar is Azure Cognitive Search. So, let's go through the agenda here very quickly. We'll start with understanding what Azure Cognitive Search is and its key features. Later in the webinar, we will go through a quick demo on how to configure a basic search service um, that indexes data from blob storage. So, Azure Cognitive Search is a cloud search service that provides advanced search capabilities over any content. So, these are some of the key points. Let's go through each one in detail. The first one, full text search as a service. So, Azure Search is a great way for handling large amounts of content efficiently, letting us quickly index and search through it with impressive accuracy. It also offers features like autocomplete, search suggestions, and we can get matching text highlighted in the results. So that makes the whole search experience smoother and it helps us to find what we need exactly. Azure Cognitive Search also brings in AI into the search process using the Azure Cognitive skills. Uh, it helps us in analyzing and enhancing the data indexes. So let's take an example, right? It can use natural language processing to grasp the context and the meaning behind the text rather than just searching for a given text. The AI features go beyond just text, right? It can analyze images, it can detect objects, it can add tags, and even we can use it for OCR to pull in information from a picture. And this makes our life pretty easy in terms of searching for any content across any files. And search also works on like multiple data sources. It is so flexible that it can pull data from an Azure Blob Storage or an outside website or a SQL database, Cosmos DBs. There are multiple options, right? And it's also designed to keep up with the dynamic content. So it can pull in new data as soon as something gets updated. So the search results are always current and pretty accurate. It supports text, structured data, and images, as well as tables or JSON or unstructured data as well, like scanned documents and images, like we talked about. For structured data, it offers efficient indexing and lets you filter and refine search results based on things like categories, dates, or it can pull out values given a certain ask given we ask the right question. And it makes us it can categorize data also across fields. And Thanks to the built-in AI enrichment, it can even pull searchable information from images, and it can extract text from the PDFs. So, and that makes it useful for document processing and retrieval. It also supports various file formats like PDF, Word, Excel, HTML, images, anything, right? So these are some of the key features of Azure Search. We already talked about full text search. We can search using keywords, and uh, the search service will rank the results according to the number of matching words, and it will sort the results based on that for us. And next is faceted navigation. This lets us filter our search results based on certain categories or ranks or criteria that we give while creating the index. So it makes us easier to narrow down the results that we are looking for. Synonyms and suggestions. So as we type, right, we get auto suggestions, which will help us with type ahead predictions and even suggest synonyms to improve the search experience. Filters and boosting. We can refine our search results further by applying filters or giving a certain results a higher ranking based on some of the custom rules that we can set up. Also, using AI, the system can enhance the search results for features like image recognition, language detection, and even sentiment analysis to provide deeper insights from the data. Let's go through, now that we're done with the key features, right? Let's go through what are the key components in a Azure Cognitive Search, right? And after this, we can follow it up with a demo so that we can understand what each of these components are and how does it help uh, in searching for a certain data, right? So the first one is the data source. We have been talking about Azure Cognitive Search, searching through multiple data sources, right? So this is one of the main place. This is the place where we can like configure what our source is for whatever we are looking at. If we are looking at file search, we'll configure the location where the files are in. And if you're looking at like a SharePoint site, we have connectors for adding that as the source for the Azure search, and also we can there are multiple the connectors like we have Azure Table Storage, and we have Cosmos DB, we have Azure SQL managed instance. Azure Search has been evolving quite a bit. It started with only 4 data sources, and now it is expanding, and there are a few more in review right now, which we can go through as part of the demo. In the next one is the indexer, right? Once the connection is established, right? So we need something to say that, go and fetch the data every few minutes or daily, or we can configure that. That's the job of the indexer. So it takes the data, processes it, and it converts it into a format that's searchable. This process will be in the background, so we can search seamlessly without us knowing that the data is getting indexed at any point. The next one is the index. This is the core of the search process. This holds all the searchable documents, and it acts as a central repository, allowing quick and efficient retrieval of information whenever a query is made. Also, this is the place where we can mention what kind of language it is, what kind of analyzer to use when for a given field, so that, or what kind of fields are there, what all we can search for is all that information is there in the index. Then the search query. So as soon as the user sends a performs a search, right? The system sends the query to the index. It comes to the search service. The index would be the one which identifies the most relevant results, and the search can be based on keywords, phrases, or complex criteria. If semantics is into picture, we can ask questions and conversational language, and the search can retrieve results. So the next one is the results, right? So once the search service returns the results, it would be ranked by relevance, and there would be a score assigned to each of the results, which will give us the most recent or most accurate result on the top to just keyword searches or partial search results in the bottom. Let's go through a quick demo in terms of like how to create a search service. This is pretty basic, but yeah, if there are any questions, please uh, drop a note in the chat and I can respond. We have a basic search service that is set up. So we'll start with the data sources. That's what we kind of like started with. So let's start by adding a data source. So the for every action here, there are two ways to go about it. One is we can, if we already have experience or if we have a JSON that we can use, we can add it through that also, or we can go to the Azure portal and click on the add data source. And there is another way to do it, this whole procedure also. There are REST API calls, and there's enough documentation on Microsoft on how to use them. So we can actually automate the entire creating of an index data source, adding the data source and everything uh, in an application as well. So yeah, let's start with so for this demo's purpose, I'm taking the blob storage as a data source. In this demo, we would be able to see once everything is done, we would be able to search for the files that are there in this folder. We have a couple of files that I added for the demo's purpose. So we should be able to search the content in these files. So you can, if there are subfolders under your blob containers, you can mention that here. And also there is an option in terms of enabling or removing the data from the data source once a certain file is deleted. It we can use custom metadata to delete as well, or we can use the soft delete option that's there on the blob storage. Screen is getting shared. It's not? Stopped. Just a second. Is Yeah,
Yes, now I can see the screen.
okay, thank you. So yes, so not sure where it stopped. So let me explain it again. We have a blob storage and a container created just for this demo. So I've selected that storage account and the blob container, and there is an option to delete the files once.
Jahnavi, could you recollect little bit back because your screen was not shared?
Got it. Okay. So yeah, let's start from the starting then. So let's start from adding a data source, right?
Yeah, that's
Like,
great.
yeah.
Thank you.
So like we talked about, there are two options. We can add a data source through a pre-existing JSON, if we already have one, or we can add it through the Azure portal where you can make the selections yourself. Uh, so let's do this way so that everyone understands. So we have a storage account, a test storage account, and I already have a blob container here, which has two files that I've added for this demo. And I don't have any subfolder, so I don't really have to restrict that. But there is an option to restrict it if you want to do that. And then there is an option to enable the delete tracking. Once a certain file is deleted, it would be removed from the index. Always good to have that. Otherwise, the index size will be more if the deleted files are not accounted for. So that's it. So we have the data source created now. Again, two edit options. You can edit the JSON. So once it's created, we have the JSON like this, right? And you can edit the JSON or you can edit it on the screen also. And then the next one is the index creation. So let's add an index here. So right now, what we are looking to search is the content of a file. So the field name would be content. And so these are the attributes that we can select. We can talk about each one of them. Uh, Retrievable is whether it should be retrieved as part of the results or not. So ideally, this would always be true. Right, and filterable is whether you should be able to filter based on that field. Sortable, again, should you be able to sort based on this? So let's take an example, right? So let's say I'm filtering or I'm creating an index for a table, and there is one of the columns is active, and I have a requirement that I want all the active results first. So we can make that is active field as sortable so that we can sort the results based on that field. So we don't need all of these for now. And facetable is again for categories. So let's take a e-commerce website where I have different categories of products, and category is one of the columns or one of the fields that I'm adding, right? So if we mark that as facetable, then it will give the results based on that certain category. And searchable is obviously what we are looking for here. So there are multiple analyzers. This can search through all these given languages as well as the standard analyzers also. And we actually can write our custom analyzer as well. So let's say if I have some restriction saying, okay, I need only two characters. I will start searching after two characters, not before that. All that we can do it through a custom analyzer. We don't have an option here on the screen. If we want a custom analyzer, we will have to go through the JSON route. And then so let's say I want to add one more field, right? I can go and edit this. I have custom metadata that I have set up on each of the files. So that I want to be able to search on that also. So I'm adding that field as well. So this is a basic index. We have much more options in that. I will provide links if someone is interested to the Microsoft documentation. So the next part is actually the indexer, right? So we have created an index. So there we have said that, okay, this is this is the fields that we want the data to be indexed on. And we said we have created a data source where I said, okay, this is my source for the documents. I want you to search through all the documents in this data source. But right now, there's no connection, right, between these two. They're two independent entities. So indexer does the job of that. So we select what index the indexer needs to run on. and what is the data source that it needs. And then there is other options in terms of like scheduling. It we can schedule if it's a one-time thing and we are sure that there are no updates to the data, we can use just once. The indexer runs, all the data is in the index now, and we can search through it anytime we want, right? But let's say we have something that gets updated every few minutes. We can use uh, the other frequencies that are there if it matches your requirement. Otherwise, we can customize the schedule as well, and we can mention what time it starts also. If we use the options that are there, it starts instantly. But if you want it to start after a certain date, on a certain date, then that we can configure here. For this example, let's just take like 5 minutes. And there are other options here also in terms of like how many documents needs to be indexed for every run, how many max failed items we need in the indexer per batch. What are the excluded in extensions? So let's say I have a data source which has some images, but I don't want to index them. So we can exclude those, and or we can just say, okay, index only the PDFs that are there in the source, not anything else. There are options to that also. And for some of the files, let's say the content is too large, or the content is not something that we can index. So in that, the metadata will be indexed. We can mention that here, and we can say, yeah, that's it. So now the indexer is created, right? Now that it is created, it has never run and no documents got indexed till now, no errors or warnings. Once we click on this, we will get to know the history. So we have set it to run every 5 minutes, so it will run later. So let me do this for now. Um, I will start the run myself. Yeah. So this was the ad hoc run that I started and took only 3 seconds. The documents that are indexed is shown, and duration for which it ran is just 3 seconds. And we can see the indexed count of documents also. And then if we go to the index, this is where we can search for data. So let's go to the indexed file. So this is just a test file which has the content test file for Azure Search. So let's search for Azure Search, right? So now if you look at the results that we have, it shows, it gives the ID of the file and what the rank is, because there is only one result. It's showing only one, but if there are multiple, there will be multiple scores here. And metadata is what the file name is, the metadata that we added, and because we added that as a field here, that is also retrieved as part of the search. Any questions, anyone? And again, this is a document file. So we have two types of files here. One is a PDF also. So I'll search for the content on PDF as well, and show you guys how that works. So this is how it shows the PDF content, and there are options for us to highlight a certain search result also in the index. So it can search through like multiple
So
file
Janvi,
con
here it is saying file name some PDF file. So is it
Mhm.
possible to get the exact file name?
File name. Yeah, we can. So I just wanted to show you guys like the both the results. So I just search for file. Um, one is in the content, one is in the file name. Um, it search for.
No, my question was here the
Hmm,
results. It's
hmm,
saying file name, some PDF file or
hmm,
document.
hmm.
Instead of populating that, is it possible to populate the exact file name?
No, this is coming from what I have given. This is not coming from search. Um, just a second. So if you look at this, right, there is fields available where I can add metadata. This is where I add it. This is not the file name that's uploaded. The file name that we uploaded it as this index.pdf.
Right. So ideally speaking, it should populate index.pdf, but why it is populating some
No,
PDF file?
because that's the fields that we are searching on, right? That's what we have set up. We didn't set up for the file name. We just said content
Okay.
and the file name, the metadata that I added, right? That is what we have set up the search
Okay.
index on.
Okay.
So that's why it's.
Okay.
Any more questions, anyone?
Thank you.
Thank you. Think that was helpful. So this is the basic search service configuration. By the way, there are much more options as well.
Just 2 cents from my end.
Hmm.
So earlier, this was known as Azure Cognitive Search,
Hmm.
but now it is known as
It is
Azure
AI
AI.
search.
Yes.
AI search. Yes,
Yeah.
it is
Because
renamed. Yes.
multiple search are possible in Azure. One is vector search and another
Yes.
is semantic ranking. So that is the reason they have
Yes.
renamed it
And
to
they
Azure
have
AI.
added like semantics also here.
Right.
We can
Semantic writer.
enable that for free as well. Uh, it only gives us 1,000 requests, but if we enable that
Right.
here, we can use the conversational language and it can answer for us, right? Directly.
Right.
Let's
Right.
say retrieve the file name for or retrieve all documents which has the text JavaScript, right? It would give us the results based on that.
Right.
Yeah. And we can talk about scaling as well. So we can add replicas, we can mention how much storage that we can that the search service should have, and there are multiple tiers as well. So this is on a basic on the standard tier, the basic one, but there are higher versions, and that gives us more options as well as the storage size also. And also there is another option in terms of like, let's say I want to trigger an indexer, but I don't have access to the search service. Or let's say I want to use this search service in a given in an application, right? All you need is the search service name and the keys. And once you have that, there are REST API calls to search the data. And there are two options in terms of that. We have role-based access. You can control who has access and who can access the search service also. Any questions, anyone?
Janvi, one question.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh, so
go
in the
ahead.
data source, we have like files, Cosmos DBs and SQL Server, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is this, can I connect my Azure service with AWS database or some other way?
We can connect to external data sources also, Vishnu, and we can use those might not be available here uh, right now because you won't have access to that. If we want to configure like that, we will have to add a JSON.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have already done SharePoint search as well as connecting to a SQL managed instance, and these all were already done.
Okay, then. Thank you, then.
You-
Okay, Charvi, this is Vishwa.
Yes, Vishnu.
So just wanted to know, like, whatever the container creation and the cognitive search we are doing, so we can do even with the API, right?
Yes,
API
that's
through
correct.
API. We don't have to
That's correct.
be only through UI also, right?
Yes,
So we have that options for
we have
having
that
the.
option.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
So we have, so for that, for index creation and all, we have different kinds of keys, right? We just looked at the keys section. We have different kinds of keys. So basically, only for querying purpose, we have created a separate key, but we need the admin key for us to make any changes in terms of creating an index or data source or indexer. So if we have this key and what the search service name is, which way we can create the index.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's go back to the presentation. Yeah. So we talked about, we had a quick demo on how to create the basic search service. So let's go to the next topic. So we talked about some of the data sources. We have already seen how to index files in the from an Azure Blob storage. Uh, so these are some of the integration or some of the data sources that we have in Azure, which we can use as a data source in the search service. Let's go through one by one. We already talked about blob storage, so I'll move on to the table storage. So like we have the blob storage, right? Table storage also, the data in the table storage can also be indexed, and that would give us a way to search through the structured data. The next one is Cosmos DB for real-time data, right? Azure Cognitive Search, it can seamlessly index the documents from any NoSQL databases. There is MongoDB integration also that's available now. The next one is Azure SQL. So we can index data from a given table or a view that is there in a given database. And then we can use the Azure Cognitive Services also. Basically, that we can mention in the indexer. So for that, we need to create a skill set where we can select what AI capabilities we want to leverage. We can use language detection, we can use sentiment analysis, we can use image recognition or OCR as well. Now let's talk about the benefits of using Azure Cognitive Search, right? So it's very easily scalable. We have seen the option for scaling up, right? So it is able to handle workloads of any size. We indexed 2 documents and we were able to retrieve the scales pretty fast. Um, Even for a small application or a massive enterprise system, right? We can configure the search service accordingly, and based on the data stored on a certain indexes, or based on the data that we want, is how we are like built. So it is easily scalable. And AI enrichment, again, we have all the AI capabilities available in the Azure Cognitive Search now. It can extract valuable insights and meanings also from unstructured data. This helps the organizations gain a deeper understanding in terms of like their content. Uh, so that makes it easier for us to find relevant information to what we are searching for. And customization, users can create a highly tailored search experience uh, because there are multiple options to customize the data that they want to search on how it would be searched, what filters can be applied, or categorizing the data. All these options are already available, and this helps us like making the search results meet the specific needs and preferences. Then let's go to the security part of it. We already kind of saw the security tab during the demo. So there are two ways right now that the search service, two security options that the search service provides. We can control the service. We can use the role-based access control to manage which users have permissions, or even integrates with the Azure Active Directory. Or we can use the centralized identity management, where they can use the keys for retrieving data in other applications. And it easily integrates with uh, the other Azure services like blob storage, SQL database, SQL managed instances. And this allows us to link their solutions with the existing data sources that we have. It kind of streamlines our workflows, and it improves the search experience across. So let's talk briefly about the use cases on how different industries can utilize Azure Search. So let's take e-commerce as an example first, right? So these businesses can enhance their product search capabilities, right, by implementing the filtering, by making use of the filtering options that they have, synonyms and suggestions. This helps the customers find exactly what they're looking for and quickly. It improves their shopping experience as well if we can find a product uh, with a synonym. And then let's talk about like enterprises, right? So our companies, they can set up internal search tools that allows employees to easily locate documents, reports, or any of the files that they need, or maybe demos or content on a certain project. If a search service is built on top of the existing data sources that the company has, it would help the employees in terms of like search, making it easier to search things, and that can boost the productivity by making the information more accessible. And yeah, let's go to healthcare. Healthcare is one sector I think uh, is making use of the digitalization, and previously the patient records and everything were all offline, or there was no patient records at all, right? other than the hospitals don't maintain those records. So now that they have all these digital content of having the medical records, the history, and the test data and everything. So if they make use of Azure, they make use of Azure Search, then it will give the doctors or the clinical staff a good way to search, find the critical information quickly instead of relying on or asking a patient when in case of an emergency, right? And then legal, again, the same thing. So law firms kind of like deal with a huge amount of legal documents, case files, all these, right? So if there is a central search where they can search for the information and they can get all these easily, that would save their time and it would enhance their ability also to build the cases effectively. And media, again, the same thing. It also, uh, with the AI tagging and everything, right? They can categorize and label content. It makes it easier to find the specific media assets. And also because the Azure search can search through images and video content would make it easier for them also. I think that's about it. Any questions? Anyone?
Thank you,
Hi,
Janvi.
Janvi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, please go
Uh,
ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. uh, Actually, can we add data from multiple storage platforms like blob storage, APIs, other things to do that the next level of AI enablement?
Yes, it
When
can be done. And also let's take an example of what we did, right? We took data source as one of the data sources as the blob storage, and we gave a certain folder, right? Okay, index documents only from this folder. We can add an extra data source and tag and create an indexer on top of it, making use of the same index, because that's not going to change. The data source is changing, but what we are indexing the data on is not going to change. So we can add multiple data sources and
okay,
index the data. Yes,
okay, thank you. So the main mechanism lies in the indexing, right?
that's correct.
Thank you.
That's correct. So that's where we have to mention, that's where creating custom analyzers would be preferable. And we can give options like highlighting the searched content as well. So all those will be done in the index.
Thank you.
Any more questions, anyone? I think, Roshan, I think we are done. No questions. And
Sure.
I'll share the PPT across so that you guys can go through the PPT.
Thank you so much, Janvi. So
Thank you.
here indexing is the core, and why indexing is required? Because say if I have searched something and that file exact is not matching, so in that case,
It won't
yeah, so
return any
due
results.
to AI, it will search similar to that, and it will
Yes,
rank, so
yes,
that ranking
that's
will be associated there, and it will help you to
that's correct.
understand further. So that is the reason indexing is very important.
That's
And
that's
indexing concept is same, even in database
even
indexing
in
concept
database,
is same.
yes. Yes,
Yes. So similar
that's correct.
kind of concept is there.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
But
Anvi. Yeah.
thank you. That's where the synonym, you mentioned synonyms, right? Similar words. That's where the synonym search helps.
Yeah. So in fact, they have earlier semantic search, but
Semantic,
now
yes.
they have remained to semantic ranker, because
Ranking, yes.
Yes, so because ranking is more preferable and associated there. So that's why,
That's
Microsoft is optimizing based on the feedback and all other data. So
that's correct.
that is a good part in Microsoft.
Yes,
Th-
and
They, they, yeah,
we have faced many issues when we started using the search service, right? We started using it around 2020. So these many options were not there. It's always evolving, is what I have seen.
right. See, Microsoft is always using the keyword which is very easy to understand. Okay, they don't
Yes.
use any fancy keyword like Google or Amazon. So that is the best part is Microsoft.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for attending.
Yeah,
Hope.
so no worries, Janavi, I'll take over.
Yeah.
If anybody else has any questions, please go ahead. You can also, drop us any messages on our in social media platforms or email also. I'll surely make it a point to address it to Janavi. But in case if there isn't anything else, I'll go ahead with the closing. So thank you so much, Janavi, for the insightful session, and thanks to all the participants for joining us and engaging with the session. Before we sign off, don't forget to follow us on our LinkedIn to stay up to date on our upcoming webinars and other exciting news from Kalpita Technologies. Thank you once again and have a great day. Take care, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye bye.
Jahanavi,
Thank you,
for
everyone.
being more
Thank you.
informative.
Thank you.
Thank you.